Welcome to the Mostly All Figured Out podcast with your host, Emily Rose. Regardless of the career field, the lifestyle, everyone is mostly figuring it all out. This podcast is where we pull back the veil of perfection and share true stories, experiences, encouragement, and of course failures, detailing how people just like you are making it all happen, despite the uncertainty, the fear, the imposter syndrome, the setbacks, the shame, whatever it is. If you believe there is more for you than what your life looks like right now, you're in the right place. Let's figure out our next steps together. Now let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the Mostly All Figured Out podcast. I am your host, Emily Rose, and today the studio is my grandparents' backyard in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I could not pass up the opportunity to interview them while I'm visiting here. And so you're in for a special treat today with Norbert and Rosemary Marciniak. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you.
So we still obviously are working with our limited technical ability with one single mic. So please do bear with us as we pass the mic around. But we're gonna get right into the questions here. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I hope the questions are easy.
They are definitely easy. You will be able to answer all of these. Okay, so question number one. Excuse me. I would love if both of you could paint a picture of what your childhood was like. Where did you grow up? What were your parents like? How many brothers and sisters did you have? What did you want to be when you grow up? Who wants to go first?
Hi. I grew up in Buffalo, New York. Lived with my parents. I was born late in life for her. So my sister was 18 years older than me, and my brother was 16 years older than I was when I was born. So then basically I grew up as an only child. And it was a very good childhood. My father unfortunately died when he was very young, and I was young. But my mom, she lived to 92. And it was a great, great childhood. And I love him. I love them. I miss them. Here you go, Daddy.
Wait, what was your mom's name?
My mom's name was Mary Krause. That was her maiden name. She came here from Poland when she was 16 years old. And my father was born here. His name was Stephen. And I found out when I got much older that it was an arranged marriage. That's why she came to the United States, but worked out pretty good.
I have some follow-up questions.
Yes.
Okay, so your dad, Stephen, was living here already, my great-grandfather.
Yes.
And my great-grandmother was living in Poland until she was 16, but she came out here because of the arranged marriage?
Yes, they sent her out here. She came on a big ship and landed at Ellis Island. They didn't get married immediately. I think it was maybe a year or more before they actually got married.
So did she come alone then? She came by herself?
Yes.
So she started a whole new family here then?
Yeah. None of her relatives were here, but my dad's relatives, of course, were here. And I got to meet them all as I grew up. But by the time I was born, they were pretty old.
Yeah. I have so many more questions about this. Okay, but I'll try to keep it moving. So my great-grandma came here on her own when she was 16 because of an arranged marriage. So how did your grandparents on your mother's side, how did this arranged marriage happen?
I have no idea. I never even knew them. Yeah. Never knew them. And the only ones I knew were my father's some family, but his parents were already gone also by the time I was born.
Yeah.
So I never knew them, never knew my grandparents.
Did you, we'll move on to you in a moment. Sorry, Gramps.
I'm enjoying the conversation.
Did you, when you were a little girl, did you have any things that you were particularly interested in? Like, were you into sports or art or anything like that?
Not in those days. No, mostly my cousin Janice used to come over. They used to come over a lot. That was my Aunt Jean Haremsky. They'd come and we'd play dolls and different things. But no, in those days, I was born in 1945. There was no sports for me or anybody. So just hung around the house, went to school, went to parochial school with the nuns.
What was that like?
Well, that was different. The nuns were not always very happy ladies.
To put it nicely.
To put it very nicely, yes, that's all I'm going to say.
If you like had the opportunity, is there any sport or thing like that that you would have tried when you were little?
Well, when I was a little older, I went a lot with my brother and his family. They taught me water skiing.
Ooh.
They taught me snow skiing.
Wow.
And we went and did a lot of camping and fishing. Fishing was my thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
And but as far as sports, in high school I played basketball, volleyball, stuff like that, because you had to.
Yeah.
It wasn't by choice.
Oh, no.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. What can I say?
All right, Gramps, it's your turn. Tell us about little Grandpa. What was he like?
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. How far back do we go?
Like from day one.
What I can remember, my earliest memory is in my dad's grocery store in Sloan, New York, and I was carrying an empty case bottle of beer down, and someone took my picture, and that's why I still remember it, because I still have that picture.
You're going to have to let me see that picture.
It's in the archives someplace, so it
Yeah.
might be a little difficult to find, but I would be happy to share it with you.
Yeah.
So, and then, I'm sorry, go ahead. You are going to hit me with a question.
Already, I know. So your dad had a grocery store in Sloan?
He sure did, yes. It was Marciniak's Deli, and it was on the corner of Ryman and Atlantic, and I lived there through the first years of my life. And we could get all the candy we wanted, because my dad would just let us go to the candy shelf or the candy bin and take all the candy we wanted. And that's my fondest memory of that store.
Yeah.
Candy.
And then we lived there until I was, let me think, I was about in fourth grade. That's where I was. I was in fourth grade, and we moved away because of health. My dad had to sell the store, and health reasons, I should say. And we moved to Francis Street in Sloan. Stayed in Sloan. That's where I grew up, and I lived right across the street from the school I attended, which was St. Andrew's Church, St. Andrew's School, actually.
Tell me about your siblings. You have a lot of siblings.
I have 3 brothers. And I have one sister, Marianne, who we tortured her entire life. That was our goal.
Poor Aunt Minnie.
Yes, and we loved her, but we tortured her any way possible. One of my favorite pastimes as a youngster was unplugging the vacuum cleaner as she would be vacuuming, which just drove her crazy. And we enjoyed it. I still think of that.
Okay, what were your parents like?
My parents were just loving parents. Yeah. My mother, Mary, I was her baby, and she always loved me. She always said I was her baby when she introduced. I was 40 years old, and she still said I was her baby. And I loved my mom dearly. My dad died as my wife's dad died right around the same time. In fact, the same year. Yeah. That was long before we knew each other, but I think it was 1958. And my father was I believe he was around 58 years old also when he passed. A young man, and I just wish he would have lasted a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Because I would have loved to just right now to just talk to him and say, you know.
Get to know him. Because how old were you when he passed?
I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really difficult time to lose. Well, it's never a great time to lose a parent, but especially as you're in that like preteen, teenage.
Absolutely.
age.
I remember that.
So were you the baby in your family? You were.
I was the baby. I was the last of the siblings, and that's why I said my mother loved me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my Eli. So when you were a kid, did you have like interests or things that you were involved in, or did you imagine like what you wanted to be when you grew up? Like, what were you like?
I think I wanted to be a baseball player.
Really?
And I used to play baseball in the summertime, especially, of course.
Yeah.
And I would get up at around the bright, shining hour of 11 o'clock or so, and immediately started playing baseball with my friends. And it didn't matter if we played in the street, if we played on a baseball diamond, which was around the corner from my house. But we just played endlessly. 3 flies in, grounders, 5 grounders, 3 flies, and loved it. And I would do it today if I could. I would just enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and a lot of my friends that I still know that they played along with us.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite team?
At the time, well, yeah, actually I did. I had the Buffalo Bisons was my favorite team. That was a AAA club that played a long time ago, and I used to listen to their games every day on the radio. As a young child, I would sit, but we only had one radio, so I would sit in the kitchen with my head kind of leaning on the countertop and listen to the whole game. Yeah. And so it was usually my brother would also, the two of us would.
Which one, Uncle Gene?
Uncle Gene, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love Uncle Gene. Shout out Uncle Gene.
Loves Uncle Gene.
So lovable, and he's a great dancer.
Yes.
Great dancer.
Yes.
Okay, let's now talk about the origin story of our family. So how did you two meet? And you're going to have to decide who's telling the story and at what point you switch it over, because it's a great story. So who's starting?
I would like Grandma to start and give us the beginning, and then maybe I can take over in the midst.
Deal. All right, Grandma.
Okay, thanks. Well, we met at a dance. In those days, there was a lot of dances held at different places. We were at the Polish Union Hall.
Of course.
I went with my girlfriends. He was there with his friends.
How old were you and what was the year?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough question. I think I was about 18.
Oh,
18.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Like time period, maybe
yeah.
like 50, 60s?
60, yeah, 1962 type. Okay. And anyway, we had my girlfriends and we had a good time, but for the very last dance, this young fella asked me to dance. And this is him right now. And he'll tell the rest of the story.
Here's what happened on my end, okay? Well, we were, my buddy and I were just kind of hanging in on a Saturday, I remember, doing absolutely nothing like, you do in summertime with your buds. And I think, I don't know which one of us said, let's go meet some girls. And I said, okay.
So let's go pick up some hot chicks.
No, I didn't say that.
No, they didn't say that.
Find some babes.
And we didn't know where to go, but then somebody remembered there was a dance, and I think the hall was actually called Dumpolsky.
Dumpolsky Hall, yeah,
which is being.
Polish Hall.
What a beautiful
So
name.
it's a beautiful,
Dumpolsky.
well, the Dum is D-O-M. So.
Oh, okay.
So we went, and we decided to go, my friend Danny and I, and we went, and of course, the entire time that the band played the music and everything else, we were at the bar. And then we waited. We figured we're going to wait till towards the end of the dance, and then we're going to go try to dance the last dance with someone.
Mm-hmm.
So that is exactly what we did. And I was sitting at the bar, and then I said to my buddy Dan, I said, "Hey, I think they're playing the last number." So we both shot up. We walked in, and there were all these people inside, and we saw a group of girls, and there was 3 of them, I believe, maybe 4, I'm not sure, but at the time. And my friend Danny said, "I'm going to take the brunette," and I said, I'm gonna take the blonde." And those were the words we used. Not "I'm going to go ask anybody." It's, "I'm going to take the blonde." And who ended up, this blonde ended up being my wife for the next
60
years 60
in
years.
August or November.
She remembers that stuff better than me. And but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And we danced the last dance, and the story goes on just a little more. So I took her to the bar this time, not my buddy Dan, and I got her a drink, and we sat there and shot the breeze for a while, and then it was time to go because they were closing.
Yeah.
So I said to Rose Marie at the time, I knew her name, or at least she told me her name.
Yeah.
I said, "What's your phone number?" And she said, "You got some way to write it down?" I still remember the words. And I said, "No, I'll remember it." And she said, "No, you won't."
That's my girl.
And I said, "No, I will remember it." So she did tell me her number, and I memorized it in my head, locked it in there, and then the next morning proceeded to forget it completely. So in those days, we just had one phone at my mom's house, and you kind of wanted privacy. So the only thing I did, I went to a place, a plaza it was at the time. It was called the Thruway Plaza. It was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I started dialing numbers in my head that I thought I remember. There was 2s.
Stop it.
There was an 8 and a 5, something like that. So I started making all these numbers and writing them down in different shapes and forms.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
Now the other thing is I had to keep putting money in the because of payphone. In those days I didn't have a lot of money.
Nickels.
Yeah.
my
Well, it
gosh.
probably was a quarter. I don't remember what
I
it was.
remember it was a dime. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe a dime. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the phone, I kept putting them in. I maybe made, if I'm trying to think back, but I'm guessing it was probably around 15 to 20 calls. And I couldn't get it. Everyone I called, I said, "Is Rosemary home?" And everybody went, "There's no Rosemary here." And, and so I just kept calling. And then I finally gave up. And the next day, so I gave up. I went home. I went to work the next day. And I thought, I'm going to take a shot at it. So I picked up the phone at work. And I knew she told me she worked for the home insurance company. Now, I didn't know if home insurance was a skyscraper. I didn't know if it was a one office. I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, I'm going to take a shot at it.
Yeah.
So I called home insurance,
Yeah.
not knowing who's going to answer. And I just simply said, "Is Rosemary there?" And lo and behold, the person on the other said, "Yeah, I'll get her."
Wow.
I was like so surprised. And then, so Rosemary answered the phone. She said, "Hi." And I said, "Is this Rosemary, the gal that was at the Dompolsky Hall last night that I danced with?" And she said, "Yes." And then we talked for a while, and we got together maybe a few days later
Yeah.
on a date. And
What did you do for your first date?
we went to a place in Buffalo. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a pizzeria. But at that time, a pizzeria was a big deal.
It was a
Yeah.
big.
It was a nice
pizzeria.
restaurant
It was
Yeah.
really nice.
that served pizza. And we sat there for a long time. We talked. We got to know each other. In fact, we sat there so long, I was sitting underneath a fan. Also remember that to this day. And I got the worst stiff neck I have ever had in my life from that fan blowing direct. But I never wanted to tell her because it was our first date. So I didn't want to say, I think I'm in trouble. But we just sat there and talked. And then we went out a few more times. And then there was about a month period we didn't go out. We stopped. But then we began again. And I think it was about 8 months later, we were engaged.
Wow.
And a couple of months after that, we were married.
Wow.
So that's where it went from there.
So, Grandma, what was your experience like when this guy came up to you, you have a nice dance and a little drink after, you're like, you're not going to remember my number. And then all of a sudden he's calling you at work. So what were you thinking during all of this?
Well, my first thought was, who? But I didn't say that. And when we went out the first time, I really didn't care for him a lot.
Oh,
And but then we went out a second time, and I
Why didn't you?
I don't know what it was. I don't know, but I just thought, oh well. But it worked out good. It worked out wonderful because I fell in love. And I married the best man in the whole world.
So now fast forward, and this cute little encounter, I'll take the blonde, and you have 3 beautiful boys.
Oh, yes.
You have, how many of us now?
I have
9, 10, 11, 12.
12 grandchildren.
12 grandchildren.
And 6 great grandchildren.
And 6 great grandchildren. Can you believe that? So that's 6 plus 12 is 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
Plus all of the partners, so it's like 22, 23, 24. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. We're very, very blessed. Yeah. I love my family.
We're all so blessed. We have the best family. We do. Marciniaks know how to party.
Oh, yes, you do.
So what was it like parenting your boys during what? That most of them were born in Dad was born in...
Yeah, my first one, David, was born in December 2nd, who happens to be Emily's dad. True. And he was a very, very good baby. And as he got to be a toddler, he was spoiled rotten by my husband's mother and sister, Aunt Minnie. Aunt Marianne was called Aunt Minnie. But he already showed interest in, what's the word I want? Acting and singing, performing, yeah. At a very, very early age, because he used to sing to Aunt Marianne and smile all the time. He was a good kid, a very good kid. And Timothy, he was the second, and him and David are 2 years apart. Timmy was he was a little cranky as a baby. He had colicky, a lot of gas. But then he was different than Dave. He was very shy, still is. He's a very shy guy, but he was a good boy, a very good boy and handsome. And then 5 years later, Andrew came, our baby. And that is who we live with now, Andrew and his wife and family. And they take excellent care of us. Andrew was a very good baby, everything, no problem whatsoever, except it took him a long time to talk. He would, but he's a good man.
Yes, I do. I'm going to use that later to my advantage. What do you think is the biggest difference between parenting then and now?
The biggest difference is, I think now a lot of parents do a lot of reading in books, how to raise children, instead of just using their own common sense. And love, that's the best thing for kids, is you love them and you talk to them and you go to their sporting events and you do everything with them. And I think that's a big difference. Stop reading those books. Just be a mom, just be a dad.
Do you agree?
Yes, I do. I agree completely with that analysis. And I think that what she says is true. Maybe you could read the books a little bit because I love reading. But as far as raising the children, yes. And I think you just need to not be their buddy, but be their buddy, but also be their parent and and let them know always that that's the case. Even though maybe sometimes you might even feel a little bad yourself, but I think that's the thing. Be their friend, but be their parent more important than that.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about this since I've been here. I think that's a hard balance that parents are trying to do now because there is a huge emphasis on making sure that you support. What I'm sensing is that there's a bigger emphasis now on supporting your kids emotionally and navigating feelings and like making sure they know feelings are okay and thinking differently is okay and thinking for themselves and all that. But doing that and then also being their parent and being like, holding the reins is really tricky.
And sometimes it's not easy. No, it's not easy.
Right.
You do the best you can.
And Lord knows I'm trying. All right, so now we're going to switch really quickly and answer some audience questions.
Oh, no.
Okay, so
I'll answer Mary's.
Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, so I did ask on my Instagram for people to share any questions that they had or that they would ask their grandparents. And so from that, I got a few questions here. So Mary Marciniak said, no questions. Hi, just hi, Grandma, Grandpa.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary, sweetie. I love that.
Hi, Mary.
Okay. Lizzie Marciniak, another one you might know, said, what's the key to a long-lasting marriage? Who wants to take that one first?
I have no clue. I really don't. I think, love, commitment, communication, too, helps. What do you think, Gramps?
Well, I'm not so sure about the commitment part because I don't know. It almost sounds to me like you're committing yourself to jail.
No, that's that's not true.
But I think I think the love is the important part. Understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I think accepting the other person's shortcomings and actually becoming fond of them at one point. Really.
Fond of their shortcomings.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
recognizing them as like
Absolutely. I didn't mean becoming fond of them.
Like at one point liking them, I guess.
No,
right.
because
Oh,
that
by the
happened. That happened, I think, on the night we met at that dance. But yeah, I just think it's important to be honest with one another, to love one another, to never go to sleep mad at each other. Which, by the way, we never did, but we did sometimes stay up for about 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say, is that real? Because I have heard this advice before: don't go to sleep angry. And now, granted, my marriage didn't last, but we went to bed angry all the time. Have you really never gone to bed angry ever? 60 years.
I think once when she burned the pizza, but other than that, no, I don't think so. No, maybe a couple times we went where we weren't real happy with one another, but we always woke up in the morning and just forgot everything that happened the night before. Never carried it on the next day. It was gone. It was gone in the morning.
Yeah, because if you go to bed angry, you can't sleep. I can't sleep.
Yeah,
So,
me either.
so never go to bed angry.
Okay.
All right, next question. This one comes to us from Lauren Boyle. Do you remember Lauren Boyle? Yes, one of my best friends from elementary school. Lauren said, looking back, what's one thing you would do differently that you'd tell younger generations to consider?
I wanted to be a nurse. But my mom was single. My father had died, and we had no money. So, and I had to help her.
Yeah.
So I got a job as a secretary. So I regret not being a nurse because I would have loved
You
it.
would have been a great.
I'm Grandpa's nurse.
Yeah.
And other than that, take one day at a time. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Did you like stress about things when you were younger that now you're like, why did I worry about that stuff?
No, I do now. Because Grandpa used to say, I worry about everything and everybody. And I'd say to people, don't worry about it. I'll worry about it for you. Because that's how I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes all that worrying does no good anyway.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does. But prayer helps too. Yeah.
What would I do different? Is that the question?
Yeah, or like if there's something that maybe you wasted time on that you're like, that really wasn't useful for me. I didn't really need to do that, or
Yeah, I always tried to go in the right direction to do the things I wanted to do or the things I enjoyed to do. But sometimes I think my expectations or my desire was just maybe a little too high. And then when it would not work out, I think, kind of lean back and think, that didn't work. Why did I try it? But I did try a number of things. And I tried moving to another state quite a few years ago, long before I moved to this state. And that didn't work. And that I was bummed out for a long time.
where?
Florida. I moved
Oh.
to Florida. I moved there myself. And then my family was going to join me. And
Yeah.
we had it all arranged. But that didn't work, and it did bum me out. And I always had that desire to live somewhere else. No offense to Buffalo, I love Buffalo, but I wanted to be a little warmer most of the time,
Yeah,
which I am now in Las
Yeah.
Vegas.
that's for sure.
But it's a great city. I loved it there, and I'm getting off the subject, but yeah, I did want to get out. And then when I did get out, I realized as I'm here in Vegas, and I can't help but think, it wasn't that bad of a city.
No,
Really, and Buffalo's got a lot of attributes, a lot of pleasant memories.
Yeah.
And to say I don't miss it, that would not be true. To
Yeah.
say I love this heat, I love the heat. But
Yeah.
Not me.
but I know I'm getting off the topic here,
Yeah.
but going off there. But as far as anything I wish I would have done differently, that's a hard question to answer when you're
Yeah.
82 years old,
Yeah.
because I have a little trouble remembering all the things I looked forward to when I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
I remember I wanted a big boat. I did get a boat for a while. Always wanted a nice fancy car. And I always wanted a family. And some of the stuff came true.
Yeah.
Some of it didn't. Never got that big fancy car. But I did get the boat, the family,
Yeah.
and my own
Yeah, the
home.
nice
So
boat.
it was something.
Maybe that's the lesson that, whatever might feel like a really big thing you want right now, when you're 82, you're probably going to forget what it was. So,
Yeah.
That's how unimportant it is to me now.
yeah.
To look back and say I should have done something different. What should I have done different? I got my wife here. I'm happy. We're happy together.
Yeah.
And I've got beautiful grandchildren.
True.
So
Great-grandchildren.
to say I am sorry about those things, no, I'm not. No,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Before I go back to more audience questions, this made me think, do you feel this, we're going to get real esoteric here. Do you feel that you've got siblings now that have passed, your parents have passed. Do you ever feel a connection to them? Do you ever feel like do you believe in signs and that our loved ones are around us?
I do. Yeah, I do very much. And I sometimes can swear I see my mother walk by,
Wow.
or I hear her call me. Just kind of look, and I miss her very much. And my brother and I got along really well. My sister, she was a lot older, and she was a little different. And but we were okay. But I do miss them. But I do believe that sometimes when I don't feel well, I want my mommy.
Yeah.
I miss her. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, sometimes I hear her. Sometimes I just feel her presence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that. Gramps?
I truly don't think I do.
Really?
In any case, I I remember when my father died, how badly I wanted to see him.
Mm.
I would lay in bed at night and think, "Come on, Dad, come on, just let me see you for a minute." But it never happened, and I really don't feel his presence anymore. And my mom, I'm 80, like I said several times now. I'm 80, over 80 years old, and I still love my mom. I love her
Oh yeah.
like I did when I was a much younger person,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a wonderful lady.
Yeah.
You never stop loving your parents, especially mommy.
Yeah.
Mommies are special.
Yeah. I bet you that your dad and your mom are showing you signs all the time. You just don't realize it. I also think I feel like the next time one of you is vacuuming, somebody's going to pull the plug out and it's going to be Aunt Minnie for sure. If stuff like that starts happening, I'm telling you, because I find well, I believe in all that stuff, right? But I don't, it's never, I've only once had an experience where like my friend Shahada, I was kind of in a dream state and I was waking up from a dream and she was in my dream and as I was waking up, I could hear her saying my name and it was just so clearly her. But most of the time, like when I hear or when I see signs or like feel like, oh, this is my friend Tran or this is my friend Shahada or whoever else it might be. Now I feel like a very strong connection to my Aunt Cindy and like my great grandma Bernie. It's other little things like whenever I see a flashing light, I feel like my Aunt Cindy is nearby, or when I see a ladybug, it's Shahada. When I see a rainbow swatch, it's Tran. So I think, but I think you have to have some level of like whimsy to you, some level of like believing that it's not coincidence, that it is. Because another thing for me is I see the numbers all the time. I see 111 and 1111 all the time, constantly. Like I've said it now, so now pay attention today. Let's see how many times I see the number 11 because it's all the time, constant, like the craziest places.
So what does it mean? Do you know? Or
yeah. So for me, it means keep going. You're on the right path, and we got you. I feel very, very like. I don't know if protected is the right word, but like surrounded by and encouraged by, yeah, and by people, not just my friends, but especially the women in our family. Yeah. I feel like they're all behind me and like guiding me and supporting me and moving forward. Yeah, I really think so. We have some really strong women in our family. So I'm glad that I got to hear a little bit more about your moms today because I wanted to know more about them. I feel like I don't know a whole lot about them. Did I meet either of your moms?
you met my mother. You were my firstborn grandchild. Yeah. And I have a picture of you and me. Yeah. And you're sitting on her lap. She's on the rocker. But you were just a little tiny person, so you wouldn't remember. Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that picture too. We're gonna have to go through some photos today. Okay, let's go back to the audience here.
Mary, I hope Mary watches.
Mary's definitely gonna watch this.
Mary and Elizabeth, I love you.
Mary and Elizabeth, Grandpa loves you. Okay. All right, 2 very deep questions from the audience left. Oh, no. Okay, so this one is
deep, huh?
Oh, right. That one was from me. So Steve is a pastor at Anchor Church in Buffalo. Steve says, it seems that, let me see if I can pull this open. Oh, I took a picture of it. It seems in later years that people become either more sweet, kind, and gracious, or more hard-nosed, annoyed, and grumpy. Why do you think that is? And is there something that people can do earlier in life that will encourage them to end up sweet, kind, and gracious?
Wow. Who's this from?
Yeah, from Steve, Pastor.
Hi, Pastor. Thank you for that difficult question. I would say as you get older, you become calmer because you don't have to worry like you used to. You don't have all those responsibilities of your children, your house, this and that. and you can relax and you can love your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, and you just become nicer people than you were when you were younger, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yes, just kinder and sweeter people. And it might also be because you think, hey, life is short. I better shape up. Right?
Yeah, I think everything I believe is true. Everything you said, I agree with, and they're all good points. I think one of the things that happens to me that I know is I become less aggravated so easily as I did before. Simple things that can aggravate you as you're younger. And I see it in other people. I see it in younger people. And I think, wow, I guess that would bother me too, you know, when I was 30 or 40 years old. Now I don't care. I really
Yeah.
don't care. Things that bothered me, like I'll give you an example. This is kind of silly because she's sitting
Okay.
right next to it, and I don't. But for example, my wife never moves her chair back when she gets away from her desk. Now that means I have a tough time getting through past her chair. Now years ago I would have said, "Why can't you move this chair in?" You know, it's so annoying. But now I just move the chair and I go, so what's the big deal? So I moved the chair and I went in and I'm happy and she's happy, and that's the kind of thing that, you know, how did that aggravate me so
Yes.
much? And now I don't care.
And now, when I sit at my desk, I make very sure when I get up, I put the chair underneath the desk.
Okay, since this is
Gotta
a
keep 'em
public
happy.
this is a public radio or a public performance, I don't think that's true. Because
receipts
that
that show.
that chair, I bet we could go in the bedroom now, and that chair is not pulled underneath the desk.
No,
But that's
it
okay.
is.
Uh,
I'm 100% sure. I
We'll
put it
see.
there.
So anyway, Pastor, I think what happens when you get older is that, and really, I think the little things that
Fly away.
seemed so important before have no importance
Right,
whatsoever.
that's right.
And the things that are important are extremely important. And that's what I love about it. I love my family. I love my children, my grandchildren. And I really love people. I like to look at people and talk to people and realize there's good in everybody. And at one point, I didn't see that. I never saw good in everybody.
Right.
And my wife, Rosemarie, she some of the people she talks to, I kind of shake my head because I think, but she loves everybody
always
too.
sees good in everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna give that back to you.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
Thank you again, Pastor.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Shout out Steve in Anchor Church.
No more questions from him, please.
You're cut off, Steve. All right. Well, if you thought that was deep, Brandon Galligan, who is the current community manager of Yelp Buffalo, took my job after I left it. Congrats to you, Brandon. He has a question for you. Give us one sentence to sum up what you think the meaning of life is and why.
Is Brandon? Well, now that's two things because he wants one sentence and then he wants an explanation.
Yeah. You don't have to do both. Oh, we have a great grandchild who's coming out. Yes.
Look who's.
Go for it. You can have
Yes.
a lollipop.
Can I have two?
One. Let's not push our luck.
Eat one first and then we'll see.
Okay?
Thank
The
you.
dog is out.
That was Eli.
That was Eli.
Oh,
Absolutely adorable. And now the dog's barking. Okay, Brandon, back to your question, which I don't remember what it is.
Meaning of life.
Meaning of life. Oh, yeah. Well, you just heard one of those meanings of life, little guy, Eli. I would say the meaning of life is try to be kind to everybody, be happy. Life is short, it goes by so fast. don't miss out on the good things in life and take care of yourself, but most of all, be kind.
The meaning of life. First of all, may I just say that because we're 82 years old and my wife is 80,
Yes.
80, so I didn't really know that. The meaning of life, just because we're 82 doesn't necessarily mean that we have all the answers.
Right.
Because we don't. I mean, we live the life. What's
the best.
important to us, and as my wife said, just love everyone, be kind. And, it's nice to love, but sometimes I think be kind is one of the most important things. It just seems like something you should do. And being elderly as we are, hard to say that, believe me. It's just, I don't think we have any secrets because we're older.
No.
I think you can figure out the secrets yourself no matter what your age. Just sit down, look at people around you, think how they react to you. And if the reaction isn't what you'd really like, think about it, and you probably come up with that answer to that question yourself.
Thank you. I have one final question for you. This is it. So I ask this of every single person that comes on my podcast, okay? And the question I say, this is how it starts. I set the scene. Let's say it's your last day on earth. You've had a beautiful, beautiful life. Everything you wanted to do, everything you wanted to see, you've had so much love. All you can leave behind are 3 lessons that you learned from your time here. What are the 3 things that you would give to your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren?
Go ahead.
I have no idea.
3 things.
3 things, huh? It has to be 3. Can be 1, 2. Okay. Live your life to the fullest. Go for what you want in life. Don't let people stop you. And 3, my favorite thing, be kind. And be kind to yourself also.
I always give the mic to my wife first, and she basically always says the same things I would have said. And that is something you'll find as you are married to a person for a long time.
60 years.
You think a lot, you think alike, you act alike. I can't tell you the amount of times that we would turn the corner in the car together and I'd be thinking of someplace to go and she'd say, "Why don't we go?" Now, that's not something that just happens once in a while. It happens all the time. So we have some kind of mental telepathy that goes back and forth. We don't need a phone. We don't need to even talk to each other sometimes.
Or
But-
been married a long time.
So getting back to the question, I just wanted to make that point that the reason I give her the mic first, because I know she's going to say the things I'm thinking. But the question was, what
3 lessons
3?
that you would leave
Lessons.
behind from your experience thus far
Yeah.
on Earth.
Yeah.
What are the 3 most important things that you'd want your grandchildren and great-grandchildren
Okay.
to know?
One of the things I think the first thing, and I'm not sure, I think you even mentioned it also, is just go for it. If you want something, if you want to do something, you want to do it so badly, you got to think about it day and night, do it. Because if you don't, you will regret it.
Yeah.
You will really, really regret it. And what I mean is something that'll, you would like to do something to make your life better, more pleasant. Just go for it. And the other thing that I would like to pass on to my grandchildren, probably the most important thing is, remember that Josh Allen is not going to be here forever. So enjoy it at the moment, because here comes the 82 years. You have no idea the terrible football I watched from our football team. Other than Jim Kelly, I saw something horrible. So cherish Josh Allen and never let that go, okay? And the last thing I would say is, if you have a buck or two, go to a football game. Okay, there you go.
I have one
Oh,
more.
she has one more.
I have one more thing for my grandkids and great grandkids. Always remember and never forget, eat chocolate.
Yeah, okay. We're really doing the important part.
These are keys. Thank you. It is important. Thank you both so much. I could keep doing this for more hours, but I know that you want to be done. And so we are going to be done. Is there anything else that you would like to say before I close it up?
Where are we going today?
The Strip.
All right.
We're going to M&M World and Hershey's, and I want to see Bellagio.
The aquarium.
Oh, we're going to Shark Reef Aquarium. Yes.
All right, that's good. And all I want to say is I'm so glad you came and you brought my great-grandsons. This has been such a wonderful week, and I love you so much. You are my beautiful firstborn grandchild. I love you, darling.
See what I mean, folks? She says everything that I want to say. So I just can't. I would like to say the same thing, but I just can't repeat it. So Emily knows how I feel about her. I love her dearly.
I love you both so much.
Oh, you feel so hot. Are
I'm
you
warm.
okay?
I'm sitting in the sun.
In the sun.
And that's all for today, folks. We ended in tears as we thought we would. And thanks for listening. If you enjoyed, please share. Go hug your grandparents and talk to them about this stuff because this is really fun and I highly recommend. And I'll see you in a week. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, there's a few things you can do to really help your girl out. Please subscribe, rate the podcast, give me a little review. All those things really do help me in a lot of ways. And this year, I'm really trying to expand my reach. I'm trying to get this podcast in front of more people who might need it. My people, our people. So let's keep growing this beautiful community of nice people who are just trying to be their best selves. So if you know someone who might like it, please send them the link, share it in your stories, tag us, which is another thing you can do, actually. If you're not already, please follow us on Instagram at Mostly All Figured Out. I've actually been very good about posting new episodes every Friday, so you can see who is up. You can get some little previews, sneak previews with some sound bites that we post throughout the week. And it really helps, again, in expanding our reach a little bit and getting us out there in front of more people. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. Love y'all.